Okay, last week I asked about putting YouTube videos to answer questions that people have about cutting tools. So I'm going to start out this week by letting everybody know that the views that I say here are all my own. They're from learning with Alan Baker and John Baker over many years. But not necessarily are they the way they feel about cutting tools. Okay, I learn the best I can from them, and I'm just trying to share some of that knowledge with y'all. Okay, so I'm also thinking about calling this thing In the Cut, so let me know if that's already taken. Okay, so we walk over to our toolbox. Get our machinery handbook out, which of course we have tabbed. So right here we have cutting tools, and this is mostly going to be lathe tools. Okay, so anything you really want to learn about cutting tools, you can get from lathe tools. I mean, they have everything on there that every other tool has. Side cutting, ends, we got rake, they got end relief, they got side relief. The only thing they don't do is rotate, because the part's rotating. So then if you move over to milling cutters, okay, so then you got cutter grinding, and it discusses things like rake angles for milling cutters, how to inspect relief with a double indicator setup, and then so on and so forth. It goes on to give you know, different call outs for you know, reamers and twist drills and milling cutters, but that's all the you know, the stuff that everybody says is normal relief stuff. But I think what I'm going to go through is the stuff that I'm aware of, the stuff that I know about. So here's basically for key seats. Okay, so what we have is you know, for any key seat, whether it's a form tool or some other kind of tool, it has flutes, and then it has insides and outsides. Okay, a lot of people in the industry would call this the front end, and they call this the back end. Okay, so a lot of times we get orders or requests for quotes for jobs that are with a lot of flutes. Say for instance something like this. Well, the issue with something like this is, so here, like I was saying, the issue is that on a tool like this with this many flutes, it's going to have side relief, axial relief, and it's going to have radial relief. Okay, so on this kind of cutter here, where it has radiuses on the corner, and then it also has a form down here on the inside, or the outside and the inside, what you end up with is a tool where we're generating the primary relief with the wheel going on the toroid like this, and then as we come around to grind the front end, we're actually, I can't really show this, but we're actually tilting, we're either tilting the wheel or we're tilting the tool to establish the end relief, and then we're going in and grinding this feature without hitting this bottom tooth below it, if that makes any sense. So we got, not only do we have axial relief, we also have radial relief to grind this form. Okay, so the more flutes we have, the harder it is to get features in there. So a lot of times we'll tell customers, no, we just can't get that many flutes in there. Alright, so next I've drawn some crude drawings to kind of explain key seat cutter geometry a little bit. So if this is the tooth base, then we got radial relief. Okay, radial relief is going to be relief that is on the outside of the cutter, or that cuts in the radial direction. You know, so like if it's going into the side of your part, then that's the radial direction. So radial relief will have your primary and your secondary. Okay, and then if you look, so that's looking at it like, I guess like that kind of, but it's on looking at the back side over here. And then if you look at it like this, where we're looking at the flute this way, so this is the tooth face right here, and then this is the back side, and that's the front side. So it also has relief. So it has relief going axial. Okay, so this way, on that way, so that the chips can flow off it like that, you know, just like over here the chips would flow off it like that. All right, then not only that, but it also has dish, or as we call it, concavity. So on the back side and on the inside, looking down at the toothpaste, so it'd be like looking at that tooth right there, we have dish. So then the diameter, from the diameter of the cutter, it has concavity or dish on both sides. And all this is to allow free cutting, okay, so that when you're milling a slot or something, then it doesn't bind. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but a lot of people, you know, they don't realize that. A lot of standard key seats are made with spun only. So in other words, there's no side relief, end relief, or axial relief. And for that reason, they tend to swirl on the faces of the part, or wear down a lot faster. So there really is a lot more than that. You know, there's the differences between milling cutters and plunging cutters. For instance, a milling cutter like an end mill can plunge, but a plunging cutter like a drill or a reamer can't mill. So, you know, there's reasons why we can make cutters that feed in X and Y that will also feed in Z, and reasons why the other cutter won't cut in X and Y because of the geometry and how they're made. And maybe I'll go into that further on another video. So there's also different ways that the flutes are configured. There can be flutes with just shear, like the two I showed today, and then there's flutes with helix, and we can have a lot of axial shear, axial along the center line of the tool. We also call that axial rake. And then there's also a lot to learn about the radial rake of the cutter, which allows it to cut different kinds of materials, you know, positive rake, zero rake, and negative rake. And the difference between carbide tools and high-speed steel. You know, they all have to be made a little bit differently because their own properties allow for different results. So I hope this is interesting. I hope I put it together, and I hope I get better at doing it. I know there's a few too many close-up shots. Maybe I'll get a second camera someday if people seem to like this situation. Okay, thank you. Bye.